Yo, what's good, everybody? Welcome back to the Blitz City Podcast. Today, I'm joined by my guy Clay McCarter and a very special guest, Silk. Who my guy Clay knows better than I do. So, Clay, I'm gonna let you introduce him. But yeah, we back with another episode, man. Episode 4 of FBS Friday. So, Clay, please tell us about our special guest and what he got going on, man.
All right, so welcome back to FBS Fridays, man. We're on episode 4. We had some crazy things happen over the last couple weeks of college football. Joined by obviously the main host Kobe, but special guest is a guy who got me into the podcast game as a teenager, man, in high school, and then linking up for the first time at a tailgate and caught me a hat. But introducing, some of y'all might know him as Uncle Silk, but leader of the Big Three Roll Up, Stadium and Gale. What's it? Culture podcast now?
Culture Uncut podcast. Yeah,
I would say I know that's another venture that just came out, but man, let's hang out. Let's ride.
Hey man, I appreciate the love, man. I appreciate the invite. Always down to kick it and just talk some football with, you know what I'm saying, especially young guys like y'all just trying to, you know what I'm saying, build something, man. I think it's dope. Let's hang out.
Right on. Let's do it. All right, so very first topic we got, right? Players in college football, this isn't the first time we've seen it, but they're choosing to sit out bowl games to just prepare for the NFL draft. What are your thoughts on that? I kind of see more players doing it as time goes on, and I can never be mad at it. You're making a decision that you think is best for you, but personally, I also look at it from an athlete's perspective. Like, if I was still an athlete, if I made it the whole season, I don't know. I'm willing to take that chance to play in one more game, depending on what the bowl game is. If it's a New Year's Six bowl, yeah, I'm playing.
Right.
If it's the Duke's Mayo Bowl, nah, like sit me up, you know. But like, you know, just like as an athlete, I just feel like I would play it. You know, if it's an important bowl game, I'd play it. But you know, what are your guys' opinions on it?
I think it's an NCAA problem more than the student athlete. I think they gotta find a way to make the postseason worthwhile. Like the bowl games is just so old traditional stuff. I think they got to expand the playoffs. That way you get the top 12, 15 teams at least still like very interested as the season play out. But right now, once these players get these teams get 2 or 3 losses, most players start plotting either they're going to enter the transfer portal or are they going to sit out the bowl game. But it's several problems there because transfer portal window is the exact time as bowl season. So that's another reason to either sit out or just declare, you know, to go either transfer portal or to the NFL. But I think they got to fix that window, and then the postseason and everything else will fix itself as far as the players being bought into bowl season.
That's a good perspective, man. I didn't even really think of it from a higher up NCAA level. More so, I mean, I like you were saying, Kobe. I think that if it's a bowl game that's like the Duke's Mayo Bowl or the Toilet Bowl or something like that, man, I get it.
Right,
but
right.
If your team y'all copped a couple L's late in the season or mid-season that could have went different, and you got 1 or 2 losses, man, and y'all are away. Man, if it's upperclassmen, yeah, I think that, I mean, be a leader. I think NFL teams will definitely appreciate that. But we're getting into a time period now where we got guys sitting out seasons getting ready to go to the draft now. So I mean, it's more so of guys who are going to be those first 64 picks. I get it. You know, I mean, you got some money on the line. You get hurt as a late round, first round projection, and you end up being a second round. That's a big pay cut.
If I'm an NFL team, I still want that competitor because, you know, you still got I think that still like shows a little bit about the guy. Like if you're a top 60 guy and it's a meaningful game, right? Because there's some guys that's sitting out some meaningful games, let alone just like a random bowl game. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna look at you a little bit different as a competitor. It takes a different type of guy to sit out an important game like the playoffs or something like that. You know, like yeah. I'm gonna look at you a little weird as a competitor if you're sitting out those important games like that, or you're sitting out a whole season. Like to me, like if you ever competed in sports, I couldn't fathom sitting out a whole season. You know, like it just. That's play this thing for passion and a lot of other things, man. So I'll be a little cautious as a GM if I see something like that.
Yeah.
No, I agree with that. Especially just on the terms of like you putting all that work in the off season. Like you're going through grueling 2-a-days in the heat. You're doing all these ice baths and these cryo chambers and whatever they have at these schools, and you're going through all of this for the purpose of getting that, we'll get into the NFL is your major goal, but winning a championship, playing in a meaningful game, and then you get to that point and you choose to sit out. Yeah, if I'm a GM, I look at it a little differently. So I definitely agree with you there. But moving on to the next topic, right? Deion Sanders going to Colorado. I said Jackson State here. I didn't mean to put that. But going to Colorado over Jackson State. Thoughts on that? I know he's been getting a lot of blowback. A lot of people have been calling him a sellout and, every sense of the word. For me personally, I think that if you have been watching him since he first got to Jackson State, when the buzz about him going to a bigger job first came about, he always said, I'd be a fool to at least not hear what they have to say. That should have told you he wasn't going to stay at the FCS level very long. So you should have expected that. But I also don't agree with the way that he went about it. He has made the decision to coach Jackson State in the championship game that they have next week versus North Carolina Central, instead of just going on and being the Colorado coach first. So now that you've done that, you skipping the press conference for the Celebration Bowl to be at a Colorado basketball game is not a good look. Your son, who we know you're taking to Colorado with you, wearing the Colorado hat when he's still a Jackson State Tiger right now, not a good look. I just, I'm not mad at him for leaving because that's a great opportunity, but you have to be professional about it. So that's my opinion on that. Yeah. But how do you guys feel about it?
I say more so. I don't get me wrong. I'm under the understanding. We're talking about one of the all-time greats here, and the notoriety he brings, and just the brand, bro. And then people see that he's already came in there. When he first went to Jackson State, there was people who were saying, "Well, I don't think he's going to be able to get anything done." What does he know about coaching? Well, he's a football guy, man. Come on, the way that he handled it is a little bit questionable. Do I agree with him?
It's a lot of bit questionable.
Going over the way that he did to Colorado.
Yeah.
You're going to pay somebody $5-6 million a year and say that you can basically, you have the keys to the franchise. You can do whatever you want. We believe in you already. He's going out there there's not a lot of competition. He's going to bring a bunch of guys with him. Happy for him to go and move up because, I think I'm not a coach by any means, but I think that's every coach's game plan is to keep going up in talent and try to say that you've done it at the best levels. He won 2 championships. What more was it for him to accomplish in Jackson State, But
I think there was more to definitely. There's a lot more to accomplish.
It was a lot more here.
There's a lot more to accomplish. I'm with Kobe. Like everything Kobe said was I think spot on. But he could have done it in a way more tasteful way. Like the way he did everything, I think was very distasteful. I think it was disrespectful to JSU and HBCU. And I think a little deeper, if we look at what Travis Harnett was, Travis Harnett's from the same city I'm from, right? So I've been following this kid for a long time. And to watch him sacrifice, everything, he's the #1 player in the country. He's sacrificing to go to Jackson State. And in his own words, he said he was doing it to put on for the culture, and to do something different. From the development standpoint, the kid.
I think you froze.
Okay,
he
got lag.
Yeah, you was like, what was you saying?
Yeah, I said Travis Hunter's from my area, so when watching this kid, I wanted to see Deion develop him because he promised, or he said some things even on I Am Athlete and other platforms that he could develop kids just like Nick Saban and other guys in the SEC could. So I watched this kid sacrifice his future for the betterment of HBCU coaching and what Deion was selling. And to watch the kid not get developed, he's still 160 pounds. He's not dominating HBCUs like he should. So I think that whole thing, the jig was up with that. We're eventually gonna see this kid go 5th round or something, and it wasn't gonna be a good selling point. Deion's gonna have to come to the pulpit on a few things. So I think, and then now to take that kid from JSU and haul him to Colorado for a whole different purpose now, it's just nasty work from that perspective, man. I think Deion went outside. Be real with you, man. I hope I don't wish him bad luck. Deion's my favorite athlete all time. Right. I'm a Gator fan, but I'm a defensive back at heart, and I'm a 49er fan. I was a 49er fan as a kid. So like I hold Deion to high regard, man. But I just think he went outside, man. Like this whole thing could have been different if he left the Florida State. It would have been a little different, or a Florida program. But Colorado, it looks like he sold like JSU out, and the kids that he brought in, like, he sold those kids a dream. Like a lot of those kids had like bigger offers, and they went to JSU, and now to say, hey, this dream is over. I'm gonna take the good ones and bring them to Colorado with me. All that's nasty ass work, man.
And I agree. And I see somebody in the comments, Frankie Davis. So listen, us criticizing Coach Prime in the way that he went about things does not mean that we do not like Coach Prime. It just means that he is a man that can be criticized. Everything that he does, every move that he makes is not, it's not always okay. Like, he can be criticized, is what I'm saying. Yes, I am still going to follow him. I still am a fan of what he's doing in college.
I hope he's successful. You know what I'm saying?
Like, I want him to be successful. I think we all do. And I can't wait to see how it turns out, how he turns Colorado around. So, yes, we will be following him. But this particularly, we just think it wasn't tasteful on this part while he left. That's just that.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes, man. But I didn't even think about that too, man, because there was just so many takes, man. But yeah, him wearing the Colorado stuff, all that was just that's egregious, man.
Those made good points.
Yeah.
Right. All right, so let's get to the next topic now. Caleb Williams. Do you believe that Caleb Williams is deserving of Player of the Year?
Given Caleb Williams is a phenomenal athlete. I think he's a very talented quarterback. I think that
who are you gonna give it to?
Another case of following the coach there. I mean, he's a stud. Don't get me wrong. I think that there's definitely some question marks that you can make for Player of the Year if some injuries didn't happen. But I mean, with where we are, this shape up of the season, how it played out with some teams having some losses they probably shouldn't have. Yeah, I'll say that he's deserving of it with the way that college football has been shaken out. I think a possible healthy Hendon Hooker could have made a little bit of a case if they didn't drop that Carolina game. I mean, they got smoked, but I mean Carolina also played a very clean game. I mean, you can make the Blake argument if he was healthy, what happens with him, because he was in there for the Heisman for a little bit. I mean, you can make a case for Max at TCU. You can make a case for CJ Stroud.
It's a down year. I mean, Stetson is going to make it. And that's egregious for him to even get an invite. It's just a down year, bro. I don't
sell a lot of insurance in his career.
I mean, preseason, I think we all had Bryce in preseason, right? So now, and that was Bama has been a total letdown. I mean, 2 losses is a letdown for Bama, but even from just production standpoint and what we thought that offense was going to be with him coming back, it just wasn't that. So I'm not mad with Caleb Williams getting it. It's just a down year. I think nobody's going to look at this year as some like your traditional Heisman run where somebody just went on a tear and had like a bunch of crazy highlights and took over games. He was steady. Lincoln Riley had the offense just steady every week. He only threw like 4 picks. I think what you want from him?
Yeah.
In a down year, what else you want? He threw like 40 touchdowns and like 4 picks or something. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And honestly, I agree with you. And I feel like if Blake Corum didn't get hurt, that I
think that he had a case there.
Yeah, he had a case. Like he was my guy.
Hooker was hooping for a little minute too. I like the Hendon Hooker as well.
He was hooping.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on to playoff predictions, right? The playoffs are set. UGA versus Ohio State in the Rose Bowl. Michigan and TCU. Starting off with UGA and Ohio State. Who you got and why?
I hate to say it, but I don't think them dogs are getting beat this year, and that's just me being 100% honest, dog. I'm being 100% honest. I
gotta see it.
I think that just with, man, Kirby's doing something at Georgia, and I hate it because I'm a Florida fan, man. I hate it because it's tough. It's getting ready to be not to say that he's Saban, but he's getting ready to be, that coaching dominance that's going to come out here for the next couple years. They continue to recruit well. Ohio State's kind of splotchy, man. Ohio State is, I think if their offense is on, they have arguably one of the better offenses in the country. I think that they had a big problem with stopping just a run game on defense. I mean, they played Northwestern super close. They let Michigan have their way with them late in the game, but UGA by 17.
Yeah, I think Ohio State make it interesting for a half. I think they got the receivers to I think Georgia got some weaknesses in that secondary. I mean, but what do you call a weakness, bro? Like, you know what I'm saying? But if there's a spot you want to pick on Georgia in the secondary, and I think Ohio State got some killers at receiver, but I got them winning by like 14, 17 points, man. I don't see Ohio State having the dogs in the trenches and just like the athletes. Like, it's crazy because Ohio State got some killers, but man, Georgia's just built different. They've been out recruiting everybody. I think right now, if you look at just the momentum in both programs, they the new Bama right now, bro. Until somebody prove them otherwise, like, they got some juice right now.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think Georgia defensively is just way too good, way too dominant.
Yeah.
Look at Ohio State. I mean, for the past couple of weeks, they've been relying heavily on Marvin Harrison Jr. And if you can't get the ball to Marvin Harrison Jr., what is CJ Stroud going to do? Because what the other
Jackson Smith,
if I'm not mistaken,
Jackson Smith out. Jackson Smith, I think he's declared.
Yeah, Jackson Smith has declared he's not going to play in the playoff game. So if you can't get to Marvin Harrison Jr., what are you going to do? So, me personally,
Kirby gonna scheme that shit up, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, Kirby gonna scheme it up, man.
It's UGA all the way for that one. Michigan versus TCU should be a lot closer than the first game we talked about. Who are you guys rocking with? Me personally, I want to go with Michigan. I'm gonna go with Michigan because I am a huge supporter and believer in JJ McCarthy. But I want to hear you guys' take on it.
I'm gonna go with it's episode 4. I know I have written down here still when we talked about on the other episode from Kobe's quote when you were playing your end of the season game. You said Oregon by 28. So we're running some bold here. He's an Oregon fan, so I'm gonna go with it. I'm gonna go with my bold take. I got TCU on this game, and I don't have a 3-point, a 7-point, or whatever a spread for you. I just have this weird gut feeling that it's going to be one of those years where a team that's not supposed to win the game wins the game to go to the Natty, and it's going to be an absolute blowout. It's going to be one of those years where there is a national championship blowout. It's going to be bad.
Give me Harbaugh, man. I think Harbaugh gets into the Natty, dog. I think he finds a way to, he's been since Urban left. I want to see if Ryan Day could keep that momentum going for Ohio State, but he's overcame that. There's a time where Michigan kind of wanted to fire that man. I think he took a pay cut and gave some money back a little bit there for a little minute. But I think Harbaugh got the NFL experience, coaching, game day type experience. He got the quarterback right now. I think he got the more talent than TCU. TCU's good, but right now just go off of momentum. Harbaugh, 2 good coaches. I think it's gonna be a real close game, dog. It could go either way, but I got Michigan. Get a Michigan-Georgia national championship.
And let me say that watching the Big 12 championship this past weekend, I was thoroughly impressed with Max Duggan and the way he put that team on his
goal
back.
line.
I don't know about
which is why that goal line stance. That goal line stance was a little weird in that game. I don't watch a whole lot of Big 12 football, but it was some funky it was some funky series for both teams around the goal line.
It was, and I think a lot of people were questioning the way that game ended with the goal line stuff. But Max Duggan, man, he put the team on his back. I'm proud of that. I'm proud of that man for that. But it's still Michigan for me.
Got you. I mean, either way, Georgia's gonna face a very talented quarterback these last 2 games, and he did. I don't know, like outside of they faced Anthony Richardson, Hendon Hooker, but outside of that, I don't know like what was the best quarterbacks they faced. So it's gonna be a different style of football with these next 2 games that Georgia got to face, and it's gonna be interesting to see how they match up. It's one thing playing familiar foes and teams you're used to playing, then playing teams out of conference. So. It could get interesting that way, but right now I just think Georgia's just top dog.
So I was surprised watching that LSU Georgia game, it's crazy to see that we used to talk so bad about Nussmeier on the timeline, and his son comes into the game, and he played.
Started lighting it up a little bit there, didn't he?
I know, right? It was crazy. Like that's like this man's son is out here, and I mean, he I thought he played kind of decent. I mean, I'm not
played decent.
A jaded fan. I'm a fan of Daniels. I think he's athletic. I think give him a couple. I think maybe another year with Brian Kelly may be good for him with developing, because I think he's a draft kind of guy.
Who that? Jaden Daniels?
Yeah,
for sure.
Season, I think he's a draft kind of guy. I might not be a first round draft, but I think he's gonna be a guy that goes to the NFL.
And speaking of another guy, right? Let's talk about Stetson Bennett. Do you believe that he is deserving of being a Heisman finalist?
Like a good neighbor, Stetson Bennett there.
Yeah, it's a down year, bro. Like, I don't know who else. Who you think got? Drake May should have went.
Yeah,
I think they could have did Drake May that seat.
Yeah, Drake should have got that one. I think a win in the ACC championship game would have had Drake in there.
Bro, Stetson Bennett numbers are abysmal. Like, he's just so average, and he's playing with the fucking Avengers, man. Yeah, like, he should be killing right now. He got pedestrian numbers. He should not be at the ceremony, but I get it. I would have had Drake May there. Okay. Winning's I mean, like, not concerned about winning at that point. You know what I'm saying? Like, Stetson's not gonna win it. So just get somebody that's in there that put up a productive year, bro. That put up some good numbers. Drake May put up some very good numbers for a sophomore. You feel me? I thought he deserved to get invite. Stetson Bennett just doing what we thought he would do, playing with the Avengers.
Okay, they got their tight end room is. I mean, that's probably arguably.
It's crazy.
The best tight end room in college football in the last.
Dudes are monsters, bro.
15 years. You got Brock Bowers, Eric Gilbert, and Darnell. Was it Darnell Washington? Is that his first name?
Yeah.
Darnell Washington? I mean, every single one of them dudes are a minimum of 6'6", 235. Some of them are 260. Like, man, come on, dude. And they play that running game where then they shoot the ball over the middle on these routes to these guys that just come around on little crossers or slants or getting out to the sidelines. Like, come on, dude.
Yeah.
All right, now moving the conversation along, DJ Uyunglele is in the transfer portal. You know, Cade Klubnik is finally the guy, like a lot of Clemson fans have been asking for him to be. And I want to talk about top landing spots for DJ. And, you know, at least for you guys, where do you think the top landing spot should be for him? Me personally, as an Oregon fan, we had a chance at him. It was very close between Clemson and us. He chose Clemson. I wouldn't mind having him back, but we also have a 5-star coming in, so I'm not really pressed.
He's like a one-year guy, though. It's a 1 year fix.
Right, 1 year fix. So, but I also look at a Notre Dame or a UCLA, and I like the situation because Dorian Thompson-Robinson is a senior. He's not going to be back. You know, maybe him and Chip Kelly can get something going. Notre Dame, I think he's better than both quarterbacks on that roster. Bigger upside. He can make more of the throws. Those would be the two schools for me. What about you guys?
Man, I would say something to pay attention to is where you're tracking the recruiting of his brother. I think what he enabled was a USC, Notre Dame, and Oregon. I think are the top three for DJ's brother. He's a 5-star DN. I think that's something to probably watch there a little bit. I think that a good spot for DJ is going to be going back on the West Coast, something where they're gonna make him go out there and he's going to have to throw the ball because that's a throwing the ball kind of league out there. I think that like a Cal or a UCLA, something like that out there would be good for him. Let him get back home, build up some confidence, and try to get him some draft stock because I know he needs a little bit. I mean, going. I mean, what was his last stat line the other night? Was 8 for 29 with 90 yards and a pick or 2 picks or something. I mean, it's not somewhere where he gets to go out there and try to work on going through reads and be able to put up some crazy numbers.
Yeah, I think he ends up heading back to the West Coast. Like you said, UCLA with Chip Kelly would be a great fit if that's what Chip Kelly wants. And they think that Chip Kelly would be the perfect guy if you're trying to get to the NFL, though. Utah, I wouldn't mind that. I know they're losing their quarterback.
True. That is a good fit. I like that.
Yeah, veteran team is usually a team that has like super seniors, guys that are like 25 years old, and Kyle Whittingham out there. I think that'd be a good matchup. We'll see. But I think it's on the West Coast. What I like him for is UCLA or Utah.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't mind him playing like, cause I don't think DJ's. I think I don't know. I don't know how good he is on the mental side of the game. It could be just coaching. It could click for him. But we got, as a Gator fan, we got Utah week 1, so I wouldn't mind him out there throwing some interception to us. You feel me?
I would like to see a couple pick sixes if he wants to come over there and
yeah.
give him a little taste of the SEC.
For sure.
Y'all crazy. All right, so I want to ask y'all a question. Should TCU have been left out the playoffs for that Kansas State Big 12 championship loss? I asked this question because when I looked at them still making the playoffs, I say to myself, shouldn't a loss have some type of repercussions in college football? Like, shouldn't you losing have some type, like, carry some type of weight? Like, what's the point if you still get awarded with a playoff berth if you lose? I always thought it was better to lose early on in the season than to lose late in the season, but that's why I'm asking this question. Do you think TCU should have been left out of the playoffs for that loss to Kansas State, or do you think this is still justified for them to be in the playoffs?
Truly, I would say I think that the way that it's structured with CFP, them taking that loss right there, a 2-loss team being in the playoffs never happened, and that would be tough. But then there's a bunch of different scenarios you got to look at. What happened if LSU would have beat Georgia? Do you make a case for them saying, well, hold on, LSU just come off of winning the SEC championship out of the blue, random, right, and now they're a 2-loss argument. You also have Bama. You also have USC. I mean, you have some arguments for some other teams, but they're 2 losses. You can't take a 1-loss TCU team and be like, oh, you just lost to Kansas State. Y'all boys are out. It just the way the CFP's shaken up. I mean, they don't have the ability to do that, and I think they get more backlash for doing that.
Yeah, I think your option would have been Bama to like replace them, and I don't think Bama. What's Bama's best win this year?
Bama's best win. They barely snuck by Texas. Bama win. What is it? Ole Miss?
That's not good enough.
See what I'm saying? Like, yeah. That's why they got in. I think if Bama had some impressive wins, then it would have been some questions, and I think they probably would have got the nod. But looking at Bama's wins, bro, and I think people already question the SEC bias, so I think they had to make that TCU move just because of Bama ain't have no good wins. They wasn't worthy of getting in the playoffs.
Okay. Now
I'm with you on that late loss though. Usually that's a sin in college football, that late loss like that. That usually kill you.
I just feel like it should be some kind of repercussion for losing this late in the season. But right. I mean, that's why we're expanding to a 12-team playoff. Maybe it'll be better going forward.
Oh no, it's definitely gonna be better. I'm feeling that playoff format for sure.
Oh yeah, it was needed. It was needed, man.
Yeah.
So. And I was going to ask y'all the next question: did Bama deserve to be in the playoffs? But y'all kind of answered that anyway. You don't think so because their best win is versus the Ole Miss, and that's not good enough.
No.
No.
Saban was pushing though. Boy, was he pushing!
He's flexing. He was throwing his weight around.
Got political for a little.
He was throwing his weight around for sure.
Yeah, he was gonna throw the brand name out there.
You got to call in a Illuminati favor real quick, man.
Yeah.
My next question: do you guys believe that the transfer portal is ruining college football? And I ask this because I feel like there's going to be a trickle-down effect when it comes to high-profile high school athletes going to the FCS level instead of the FBS because of the transfer portal.
I'd say what's tough about is the transfer portal ruining college football. I think what's tough about the ability for the transfer portal to be a thing is, I mean, you got guys who are going out there, and there's a lot of people that go to the portal, man, and you only have, like Silk was saying, you only have a specific window, and there's a chance that, man, you might not get eligibility. You might be sitting down. Sometimes I think it's actually, if sometimes you really think for some of these athletes, if you're at a program where where you are, there's better coaching and development, even though you might not be getting the play time, and you let the sassy factor come in a little bit, it might be more beneficial for you to stay there and get the development and try to build a relationship with where you think you're going to be trying to transfer to, instead of just saying, I'm opening the portal, I'm open to all years. Like, you didn't, then you spring it on the moment like that, and you give some of these guys that, like, well, is he going to transfer? Is he not going to transfer? Is he open or is he not open, to try to reach out and build a relationship late? And then you got to kind of figure out that's the perfect fit. Some of these guys are just trying to fill roster spots. Some of these guys are just trying to, they had some losses due to the draft or graduation or injuries that made it so they can't play the next season. I wish that, it was, I would think there's a better dynamic for it. I just can't put the tip of my finger exactly how they could make the transfer portal better. I think in order to go into the transfer portal, some of those guys you should have to be offered. Like, other schools should want to show interest and say, okay, hold on, cool, these are my options, kind of thing. Like, there should be more of an intermediate middleman to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the problem is like, it's not totally up to the kid either. Like, scholarships, I think people need to really like understand how business this has always been, right? So scholarship, there's no such thing as a 4-year scholarship. It's a myth. Like, scholarships are renewable every single year. So sometimes these kids aren't forced to go in. Like, every kid don't want to get in that portal. A conversation happens in Godfather style. They walk in the office and it's like, hey, man, I think it's best that you seek your options and enter the portal. There's no space for you on the team. I don't think they're kicked out of school, but at the program wise, it's freeing up a scholarship that way. That happens in this world, man. And this is what it is. It's always been that way. When you see these kids transfer in the past, there was no portal. They had to go sit out a year. So now at least they get to, hit the portal and have options. But none of this is new. It just changed. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you asked, was it ruining college football? Depends on how you look at it, man. I think if I'm an FCS kid and I go ball out, because I was overlooked or developed a little late, and I get to Jacksonville State or some other school and I start balling out, and now Bama's interested in me, and I can level up my play and then, get some exposure, make some money, because the NIL is crazy. So everybody want to think like that when the players get power, is ruining the game. And I just think it's evening out. The coaches have always been able to hit their portal and go other places as they want. So I think the power struggle between the players and the coaches is just even now. Like, if I ball out, if I'm Drake May right now, I just go get in the portal just to get me some bread. You feel me? Like, hey, man, like, Bama want me, Georgia want me. Hey, what are you gonna do, North Carolina? Give me, some equity in Jordan or something, and I'll stick around.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That is a good point,
actually.
Moving forward, who has been the biggest disappointment this season? Michigan State, Texas A&M, or Miami? Me is Texas A&M.
A&M.
A&M for sure.
Too much talent on that roster, man. And whether you like him or not, whether you're a fan, you ever been a fan or not, man, if you pay attention, man, Jimbo really isn't even all that.
No, he's not.
He's not really all that. I mean,
I think the game's passing him a little bit. That's it.
Yeah.
I think more than anything, I think in his prime, he was a good play caller, recruiter, quarterback developer, but he's over the hill right now.
Yeah, he's been on a decline for a while. I mean, the way that you go out and you have all these guys dropping bags and you recruiting the way that you were doing, and then y'all pounded y'all's chest in the offseason about, we got X amount of 5 stars and we only had this many 4 stars, and we didn't even take a 3-star unless it was a kicker or something. Like, you can't say Michigan State and Miami. I mean, they got coaching changes going on. Miami actually has built a little bit of talent. They're still Miami.
And not only that, I think it's the way he runs that culture. All these players getting in trouble for crazy things like smoking weed in the locker room. It's he doesn't have the locker room under control at Texas A&M, sure. And it's starting to show, man. He's losing control of that program very quickly.
Yeah, you look at Mel's in year 2 at Michigan State. Mario's in year 1 at Miami. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's early in those regimes. Mel Tucker got off to a fast start because of the transfer portal. So he was ahead of the curve with that first big year he had, got a big check. You know what I'm saying? Which was deservingly, you know what I'm saying? I don't think he wasn't deserving of the check, but I just think it was a longer fix. And I think that first year got Michigan State fans a little spoiled because he started fast, but then they got a reality check this year. That's all this year is, a reality check for Mel. He didn't hit on the portal 2 years in a row. You know, it's one thing to hit on it 1 year, but consistently hit on that portal is going to be tough. It just Texas A&M for the talent. They're in year like what 4 or 5 with Jimbo, something crazy like that. Like
he left.
You should have the culture like set. You should have the program ready to go, win, make the playoffs. That's what everybody thought, and they won't even make a bowl game. So that's crazy.
That's absolutely crazy. So finally, we're gonna finish with the last segment of the show. Overreaction, not overreaction. I say something to you that I seen on the internet. It's not me. It's the internet. I say it. And when I say it, you tell me, do you think it's an overreaction or not an overreaction, and why? So y'all ready?
Let's do it.
All right. This year's Heisman finalists are not very deserving of the trophy.
I'm with you, man. It's a terrible year. It's not an overreaction.
Not an overreaction, man. It's a down year. Some injuries riddled some guys from really showing up to that ceremony in New York and actually having like a kind of a sit down when they start breaking down everybody's season, start showing to people's plays and all the other analytics that go in behind the scenes that they haven't really been showing out, and they get that media hype and they start getting out there. Like we mentioned earlier, man, I would have really liked to see a full healthy season, go through the playoffs for Blake Corum. I think that he had a special year this year. Hendon Hooker getting hurt, same thing, man. Those are two guys that I was like, man, I wish it would have been a full healthy season because they were doing it.
Yeah.
But I'd say it's just a down year, not an overreaction.
Sometimes I feel like if it's just not a good year, then maybe you shouldn't give the trophy away every year just so it can hold a little bit more validity to it. You know, I think.
Has there ever been another year like this year though?
A couple, not really, like a couple times. That's what I'm saying.
This year is crazy.
You know,
Stetson Bennett's there, man.
Exactly.
Wow,
that is crazy. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's not there. No, we haven't had for college football. We haven't had like that guy that you're like, oh, my team's not on. I'm trying to watch this game. Like,
right.
We haven't seen Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
I mean, even if people don't like him or not, Baker had put on some games. Kyler,
absolutely
big time quarterbacks, because whether people like it or not, the Heisman Trophy is a quarterback award. It is. It always will be. You have guys who put up seasons like Derrick Henry runs for 2,100 yards in college and then goes to the NFL and runs for 2,000 yards, and he ran for 13 or 14,000 at Yulee. I mean, you knew this guy was going to be a stud. I mean, you knew he was going to be a stud. He's a grown man. And then, I mean, like even running backs, like we haven't had. There's not a true standout like this guy going in here. He's going to run 200 yards a game. What are y'all going to do to stop him? It's not. We don't have that year. I mean, there's not even a defensive guy that you're like, bam, this guy's even deserving of a Heisman. Will Anderson won Defensive Player of the Year, but he's getting doubled up, man. They don't want him to go out there and do his thing, you know?
Right. Okay. So let me say this. Ohio State will be dealt with. They will have to give up the sticks by the second quarter.
Overreaction. It's going to be the third quarter, and it's going to be 5 minutes out of halftime when these boys come out there and punch them down the throat. If Georgia get the ball right out of the half, Georgia's going to run. Georgia's going to go march down the field, and then 3 and out these boys, and they're already going to see the first half deficit, and that's going to be the soul snatcher right there.
You know what I just thought about when y'all said Stetson was playing with the Avengers? Like, if they're the Avengers, he's definitely Hawkeye. Like, he's definitely Hawkeye, and that's just no disrespect to him, but it is what it is. Deion Sanders is a threat in terms of recruiting to every major school.
Overreaction.
Think so?
I think he's in Colorado. I don't think he's gonna get no legit killers to go out there right now to play in the mountains, man. I know he's a confident man. He's gonna get some guys. He's gonna get some names that used to be something in the recruiting process that people gonna get hype, maybe like a 5-star that was a 5-star when he was in a junior in high school. But I don't think he's gonna get the guys to level up like he think out there. You know what I'm saying? He's not gonna go after no Pac-12 championship in my mind. Here in Colorado, his base is what the southeast. Like
Right.
I just don't see these kids' parents going to travel that many time zones. Like how many kids you gonna get to go out there to make a real difference? And you got to build depth, like whole rosters. He'll land some guys. He's gonna do his thing, but I think he's underestimating coaching out there in the mountains.
I'd say overreaction. Touching on the same things that Silk said, man. Honestly, I mean, you're trying to convince some of these kids' parents. For a hypothetical scenario, Deion Sanders is trying to march into South Florida and convince a bunch of South Florida guys you got to come play in the snow, 30 degrees, and you got to make your parents travel to the middle of the country. Them boys ain't going out there.
I was really happy, man.
What is there to do at the University of Colorado? These boys are going to have fun.
You're going to fly by the big three, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, Texas. You're going to all this South, the best football is in the Southeast. The guys on the West Coast want to come play in the SEC in the South. This is the best ball. Like the killers going to want to play where the killers at, man. Ain't no killers in the mountains.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to get some guys, but he's not going to be breaking up. He's not going to be that guy that comes out and starts breaking up pipelines and causing havoc from those.
He's got to create West Coast pipelines.
Yeah,
he's got to establish and I don't know. I got to see who he hires as well because he's hiring a lot of guys that he knows from the Southeast. So we'll see if he can get some West Coast relationships because that's what mainly recruiting is about too. Relationships, bro. So if he get a West Coast staff, but right now, like the staff he's out there, he's calling guys like Willie Taggart and stuff. So man, I don't know. I got to see who he gets from the West Coast. Willie can recruit. But that's all he could do.
That's about it.
Literally.
Yeah.
One trick pony.
All right. So last one, and then we'll end the show right here. Cade Klubnik will lead Clemson to multiple national titles.
No, I think Dabo washed. Overreaction. Dabo's done.
Overreaction. I think that Cade's gonna do good things because think about their competition level and the teams that they play.
Right.
They gotta sign bigger teams to come in there and play to make that season. I mean, Clemson drops one game, they're like a question mark to make the playoffs. Like they got to go undefeated to go into the playoffs because they don't schedule signature wins like that unless they're playing Notre Dame. But if they sign on like, all right, we're gonna play Georgia, like they play Georgia a couple times, but if you're gonna sign a Bama game, you got a rivalry right there that y'all built over the last 6 years. I mean, I don't think he wins national championships. I think he has a great career.
Yeah, for sure. I like Klubnik.
Dabo's got to recuperate a little bit on the staff side, man. He's losing guys that he was doing. I mean, title run like those year after year, and they're super super competitive. Clemson dynasty was happening a little bit. To lose making guys that were like that, and then a little bit of a coaching shift. I mean, he's got to go sort through the staff and kind of figure out what they can do to get back to that national championship level.
He likes to keep everything in-house. Like all of the coordinators, coaches, everybody just get pulled up. He don't really hire outsiders with Dabo. But I think Klubnik is going to have a really good career. Going to be a pro, all of that. Guy that could enter the Heisman race, I think, next year. You know what I'm saying? Like that type of conversation. But multiple national championships, that's definitely an overreaction.
All right. Hey, well, listen, this was a very fun show. Thank you so much, man, for taking time out of your busy schedule to be on my channel. I've thoroughly appreciated it.
Anytime, man.
Man, I'm glad Clay told me about you, dog. Like this was great. But for everybody watching, let them know where they can find you and get to see more of your stuff at.
For sure, man. If you're on Twitter, that's where our biggest platform is, what we cause the most chaos. Uncle Silk, that's Uncle with a K. On Twitter. If you want to follow any of our podcasts or check us out, we're Roll Up Network on YouTube and all streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple, anywhere you listen to a podcast is Roll Up Network. If you just type in Roll Up Network, you'll see a slew of other like podcasts that we have, anywhere from Culture Uncut Podcast. We have Brain Profits with a couple of neurosurgeons that talk brain health. We have a bourbon podcast. We mix it up. We do a lot of different things, man.
That's dope.
But check us out.
I'm gonna check that out. That's dope. That's dope. I like that.
We
hey,
got
Clay, let them know where they can find you, bro.
Joe,
what?
I said you got to get 35 on here one time.
Oh man, just let me know. I can link it up, man. If y'all need a mod, I can link it up for you, bro.
Gotta link that one up. I was telling him, I said, one time I think
we just on the phone like a couple hours ago, just shooting the shit, talking about they got state championships this weekend with Lakeland.
I was telling him like when we were waiting on you to join in, I was like, man, I met. It was like so surreal for me as a young kid, like growing up in the era when he was playing. Like he was one of my childhood favorite players for like the secondary of Florida with like the Joe Haynes, Norris Jenkins, all the major right. I mean, all the guys that came through and being that's one of the main things I love about being a Florida fan is the DBs. I mean, that's one of those things that when you're a Florida fan, that's one thing you really dial into is that you're gonna have some dogs that are gonna come through. They might not do anything with
not this year. We gotta get back to it. This year was rough. Yeah, we gotta get back to it.
Let Raymond cook a little bit. We might make some shit shake, but that's what we listen to your podcast for. But Silk, I appreciate you showing all hospitality and love all the time and getting me into this podcast shit.
Oh man, it's all love, man. Anytime, anything I can do to help you guys out, man, I'm a DM away. Reach out to me. I appreciate y'all boys, man.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Sir, man. For everybody watching, man, this is the Blitz City Podcast. This is actually episode 5. We said 4. It's episode 5 of FBS Fridays. Catch us every Friday, man. We're going to be talking about it. Blue couldn't make it tonight. Y'all know he had a game to cover, but he will be back next week. And as y'all know, we like to keep that 4th spot open to whoever likes to join. But, man, thank y'all for watching. See y'all next week.
Real quick before we go. Still, Coach Reed from 247?
I think so.
We had him as that was episode 2, right?
That was last episode. That was episode 4, actually.
I think I know who you're talking about.
No, we had your friend on after him.
Who?
Was it Trey or Trey?
Okay, yeah. So it might have been before Trey.
It was the episode before that. Yeah, we had Coach Reed on, man. He was sitting there telling. I mean, you got to go back and listen to it if you want to go back and watch.
I'm gonna check it out. I'm gonna check out you guys' content, man. Thanks for putting me on to it for sure.
I think you would dig that with Coach Reed. He was like giving us like the nephew talks a little bit, like y'all got to hear some, like you got to listen to the old man talk real quick, and give you some wisdom because this is something you got to look at more. And it's like, okay, I didn't see it from that. We're young, man.
Yeah, no, it's all good, man.
You definitely dropped some gems, all right, man. Hey, man, we out, man. We go.
All right, man. Y'all boys have a good weekend, man.
You too, man. All right.